Hello, friends. Welcome back to Stylist Soul Tribe Conversations. I am joined today by Ashley Gillan. She is a hairdresser, salon owner, certified health and life coach, and the host of the Energized Hairdresser Podcast. She helps hairdressers rebuild their energy with simple, realistic systems for salon and real life. Hello, Ashley. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Yay, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we were obviously talking before I hit record. We always do that, so I'm not even gonna bother saying like, how are you? How's your day? We just did a whole life update with each other. So I feel like, Ashley, I have known you vaguely for a long time. Like I don't know you super duper well. We don't stay super in touch and in contact, but through the Thrivers world, you
Yeah.
and I mean, we've known each other for years, and I feel like I've watched your journey from afar. You've watched
Mhm.
mine. Every so often we kind of catch up and intertwine with each other's lives. But I'm so happy to have you on the podcast because, like I was saying before I hit record, I love using this as an excuse to just like get to know people better, hear their stories, reconnect with my old friends. So you've had a lot going on in your life and your world in the last few years. So the Energized Hairdresser podcast, and even just the Energized Hairdresser, which is your coaching business. Tell us a little bit about like how that came to be in your story. Then I'll probably interrupt you 10,000 times and we'll just kind of dig into like the conversation of all of it.
Yeah, I'm here for it. Well, I would say it started in its very early conception in 18
Okay.
when or 19. We get dates,
Yeah,
but
Soul Tribe was
basically,
2018. Am I mistaken? Were we in Thrivers Elite together? You were in that, right?
yes.
That first
Yeah. Was
Elite
that
group.
18? Yeah.
That was, I mean, it had to have been maybe 19 because Soul Tribe existed, but it was very early on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was definitely pre-COVID because
Mm-hmm.
I jumped on the NBR wagon,
Okay.
and it was the coolest experience because I got to actually meet so many Thrivers
Mm-hmm.
at that first or second
Was
convention.
that with Kristen, Angie, all of them?
Yes, that's
Cool.
where I met Kristen and
Yeah.
so then I remember then I joined their mastermind, and I just remember sitting like behind this gal who was pregnant, and I was like, "How long are you gonna take off work?" And she's like, "I don't know, maybe a couple weeks." And I was like, "What?" And had a moment between that and then another gal who was like bodybuilding, bringing in her own like meals to
Mm,
this convention. I was like seeing the two extremes of these
yeah.
like the same profession, where I was like, I don't. My heart was for the woman who didn't know how to take time off after she had a
Mm-hmm.
baby. And
Mm-hmm.
so I decided to do some research, got certified to do like health and life coaching. And I
Love.
thought, okay, so from the very beginning, I knew I wanted to coach hairdressers on their health and wellness. But like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I am a woman who likes to, I like a good crispy Diet Coke and
Same.
or ice cream sundae. So it's
I
like,
like a good meal out to eat dinner. I
exactly.
like a glass of wine. Yeah, same.
Yeah,
But I also work out a lot, and so it's finding that balance for sure.
for sure. So then, like I help hairdressers lose weight. I'm not qualified for that yet. Like maybe like I'm on my own like weight loss journey right now. But so anyway, got certified to do health and life coaching. But then once you start coaching and then once you start marketing coaching, those are two separate things.
For sure.
So moved along, got married, had a baby, got married, COVID, which
Huge piece. Yeah.
looking back at COVID. Then my husband and I were dumb and decided to sell our house. We bought a bunch of land and we built a barn
I will say
dominium.
that COVID did crazy things to the market, so I understand maybe why you guys
Yeah,
wanted to do that.
we
We
did.
sold at like the peak of the market as
Yeah,
well and
yeah,
dropped our delicious interest rate, but I'm glad we did. It worked out for us.
yeah,
Okay, so you guys sold your house and then you were building, you said, your own?
yeah. My husband built our house while I was like 7 months pregnant, living in a camper. My twins were like 5 at the time, again. And I was still kind of like doing some things, but it was awful. And I look back on that time, I was like, that was the dumbest thing. Well, about a year after I had my baby, I ended up getting diagnosed with Graves' disease, which is like
Wow.
autoimmune
Okay.
issues. I was like, it was awful. Super sick. And Graves' disease is different. Like it affects your thyroid, but it can like potentially help you, like you can stroke out real quick.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, that's not good. So then I also got a secondary autoimmune disease from that, which is why I have a giant eyeball. I try to mask it, but called thyroid eye disease. And
Oh.
basically, all of those things are brought on by stress and just like
Hmm.
chronic,
Mm-hmm.
like, they don't really know why your thyroid would go crazy.
Yeah.
So I just kind of took a step back. I took a
Okay.
giant step back. In the
Yeah.
meantime, I decided to homeschool my kids, and I stopped like promoting my salon. I moved my salon to my house,
Hmm.
live in a cornfield, and I got people driving,
Fellow
on a gravel
cornfield
road.
mover.
I'm like, sure. But I just was like, you know what? I have zero energy. I'm going to maintain the people that I have. I'm going
Yeah.
to figure out my brain to do the best job I can
Mm-hmm.
because I had such little energy, and
Mm-hmm.
to kind of get your life back on track after Graves' disease has been a journey in and of
So is
itself.
this something that you're going to deal with for forever? Is there,
Yes.
okay, that's how this
I have
works.
There's a couple routes that people could take. Like you
Okay.
could have your thyroid killed, but then I couldn't be around my family for like 7 days. You have to like sequester,
Is that for
like,
immune
like I,
system stuff?
yeah, like it was like radiation iodine treatment.
Weird.
It
Wow.
was weird. And like the doctor's like, well, you have young kids. If you were to touch them during that time,
Whoa.
it would stunt their growth. And I was like, well,
Whoa.
I mean, my baby, like Gilbert, my son was like, which he might come in here. So everyone will meet
It's okay.
Gilbert. It's fine.
We'll either edit it out or it'll be a nice little addition to the podcast. That's fine.
He's fantastic. Well, anyway, I didn't go that route, which was
Okay.
good because it would have affected my eyes more. And then you could have your thyroid cut out. And I kind
Wow.
of got to the point in April of 25 where they're like, look, let's just remove it because it's safer for an endocrinologist. Now, again, I'm not a doctor to remove a thyroid and then replace it with medication than it is to do diet and lifestyle.
Okay.
Well, I'm an overachiever and I was like, I want to figure out diet and lifestyle.
Yeah.
Gluten-free,
If
dairy-free
it's
is
something
great.
you can control, let's exhaust that option first.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And like once you remove your thyroid, it's gone. Your
Mm,
thyroid functions so many things.
mm,
So then in the meantime, I also was like, look, I also want to help hairdressers on their health and wellness. What am I
mm-hmm,
doing in my life to help me with my health and wellness?
mm-hmm.
It's like a faraway goal. I've always wanted to, be that
Yeah.
consistent person that works out,
Yeah.
right? But yeah,
It's a
so then I was
journey.
like, it's time to change my lifestyle. I love it
Okay.
that like in your 40s, you're like, okay, it's time to do the things.
Yeah.
So I hired my own health coach because I'm
Wow.
like, if I want to teach coaches, like,
Totally.
or if I want to
You
share
want a
what coaching
coach to
is,
this. Yeah.
let me get my own.
Yeah.
That was the first time I ever spent money.
Wow.
I on my own personal life. Like
Wow.
I've, I mean, I'm assuming that if there's a class, we might have taken it.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, for sure. So plenty of business education, but that was the first time you were like, I really need to do this for me and my
Yeah.
well-being.
Yeah.
And it's such a balance, the business and the personal, but you're kind of like me. And sometimes we create what we need almost.
Yeah.
Like that's how Soul Tribe was born. I created what I wanted to be a part of that didn't exist yet. And it sounds like that was kind of the truth for you as well. Okay, so that's kind of the health journey. I guess what's the latest from you with that? Like at this moment, we're recording
Yeah.
this in July of 2026. Like what's the latest with you?
I am blown away by how many hairdressers have had some kind of chronic illness and
Mm-hmm.
they've just been figuring it out. Like I
Mm-hmm.
did a post back in end of March or April, and it's like what I wish I would have known
Yeah.
about myself before my body like forced me to slow down.
Mm.
The 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 comment section of
Mm-hmm.
that was floored me. So now what am I doing? I mean, I am, in my 40s, so I'm eating protein and I'm working
Mm-hmm.
out, like,
Yeah.
so much peer pressure,
Yeah.
but learning how to slow down in order to get your body back to feeling good, and
Yeah.
like how chronically stressful
Mm-hmm.
working in the salon industry can be.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm doing now is just like educating hairdressers on it's okay to slow down. It's
Yeah.
okay to book out time for you to eat. And it's not so much, I mean, of course we need to eat,
Yeah.
and educating on like your body needs to eat, about every 4 hours,
Mm-hmm.
if not 4 to 6 hours, blood sugar and whatnot, the
Totally.
science behind when we need to eat. But then also too the chronic stress, because
Mm.
like your nervous system is on so
Mm-hmm.
much
Mm-hmm.
that exhaustion feeling at the end of day
Yeah.
is a lot of it is because we're doing so much physical labor and emotional labor. And
Totally.
how do you cope with that? How do
Yeah.
you,
Just the skills of that.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, and just how much that's resonated with other people. It's been super humbling and it's a privilege just to kind of continue to talk about it.
Yeah.
So,
That's so great to hear that one post kind of blew up so well because it's probably so isolating feeling like when you're in this position of and being vulnerable and putting yourself out there. But I agree. I think so many people are dealing with similar situations. And I think just women in general, honestly. I don't
yeah.
even know if I would pin it to just hairstylists, but that's obviously the community, so we get each other.
Hmm.
But it is just so fascinating how many people are struggling with that, and it really makes you stop and wonder, like, what is that about? What is
I
that that's
know.
happening? Um, so you put health, we talked about health, you put mental health. Let's kind of unpack that a little bit because
Ooh,
I mean obviously there's so many different directions we could go with this, but I guess if you're comfortable sharing through
yeah.
all of that, what has like your mental health journey been through all of that and like what are the pieces of mental health that kind of light you up to help support others with?
Yeah, my biggest piece that I have learned how to cope with, I think
Mhm.
mental health is just learning how to cope,
Mhm.
is understanding your own brain, that
Mhm.
your brain's job is to keep you safe and your
Yeah.
brain's job is to keep you protected and comfortable. And we live in an environment that is so easy to do. It
Yeah.
is so easy just to go home, veg, Netflix, order some
Dopamine scroll.
DoorDash,
Mhm.
just scroll because it's safe and comfortable. But
Yeah.
mental health, that would be, that's something that I have struggled with my entire adult life,
Mhm.
probably
Mhm.
even my childhood as well.
Yeah,
Because
and mental health is like human experience. And sure, there are some like super normal people out there that were raised by perfectly normal parents, but like that ain't me, probably ain't you, aren't the people that I
no,
connect with. Like I know they exist, but I almost have a hard time believing that I think the majority is mental health is just the human experience and
yes,
the neural pathways and the skills that you developed or inherited from a young age to choosing to change those to
yeah,
all. I mean, it's so big and complex.
yeah. Well, and just struggling with like being consistent. Like I was thought, why
Mm-hmm.
can't I be consistent? Well, that's a muscle that you have to build,
Yeah,
And I mean, of course, women like emotional fluctuations, like up and down,
totally.
but like I remember there were times, especially in my youth, like if you're hungry and you aren't prepared to eat, you could like prepared to eat in the salon, you could end up like verbally vomiting to somebody
Mm-hmm.
about all of the things you got going on. And now
Yeah.
you're like, well, shoot, I just like shared my entire heart with somebody.
Being hangry is like a mental illness. Yeah. It
Exactly.
truly is. Like you have to keep that stuff in check.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And or just like being so overcome with emotion
Mm-hmm.
because like there's so many things you want to do. And it's like, well, this is an emotional experience right now. I need to journal about it, not verbally vomit to my clients
Yeah.
because I mean, I've absolutely done that. Now I can kind of take a step back and know how to do that. And then building the consistency muscle. That's the
What
other
are
thing.
those tools and kind of skills that you've worked on and developed? Like for you, is it routine? Like what is it? Just like a reminder to yourself? How do you catch yourself in those moments?
Yeah.
What has that been for you?
So to build the consistency muscle, it would just getting very clear on like what is it that I want to accomplish. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
weekly, and being okay with this is a task that needs to happen. It doesn't need to happen at 7 a.m. every Sunday. It
Mm-hmm.
just needs to happen. Like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, what am I eating each week? How am I going to fuel myself? And then when am I working?
Mm-hmm.
What's my work schedule?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And connecting the dots between, okay, if I'm working until 7:30 p.m., I am not going to go home and make meatloaf.
Yeah.
Like I'm
It
going to go
doesn't
home
work
and make
today.
something
Yeah.
very,
Mm-hmm.
very simple. Maybe have the meatloaf ready and your
Mm-hmm.
partner could put it in the oven for you.
Plan
But
ahead
like,
of time. Yeah.
but that took so long to like
Mm-hmm.
connect the dots of like, oh, I need a meal plan and get my life together and get my, eat the right foods. But then if you're so scattered in your thinking to actually apply that to a realistic work schedule,
Yeah.
those two things, like those are two separate activities.
Totally.
You know, I make a lot of lists and then
Mm-hmm.
I know
Same.
where these,
I'm a
and
list
then you
gal.
gotta, I think I know where those lists live.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, Notion has become my best friend.
Love Notion. I'm glad you're a Notion nerd like me.
Ah,
Love
I love
Notion.
Notion. I
I
It's taken a
also
while.
love, you know what I do? I'll show you. I buy from Amazon. They're all the same, but like I
Brilliant.
just fly through these and I
Yeah.
never go back and look at them, but I'm a pen and a paper girl. So my team, I pen to paper like on Soul Tribe calls and stuff. I take notes, I write everybody's homework, and then I move it on to Notion. That's kind of my
Perfect.
my setup and how I
Love
do it.
that.
But I love Notion because I can be down in my office on my computer working on it, and then I can be at the gym and think about something and pull it up on my phone and have that same living
Yes.
thing to move to tap right back into where I left off, where if it was like a notebook. So anyway, sorry, tangent, but also I
Yeah.
love Notion. So lots of lists, lots of systems, flows, kind of you've learned
Yep.
how to organize your brain, your business, the systems, your health, and like even what you were saying about the meatloaf at 7:30. And I think it's just all about priorities. And in different
Yeah.
seasons and for different people, certain things are going to be more important, but you hit a
Yeah.
point where it sounds like you were interested in it and maybe your intuition was talking to you. This is something that you wanted to focus on, and then the universe threw a curveball at you, and now it's something
Yeah.
you have to focus on. And so that is priority for you and for everybody, and for different seasons. Like I definitely go through seasons where I'm much more like buckle down on my health and wellness, and then I go through seasons where it feels good to kind of coast for a while, but I think it's just so unique to each person, and what's going on and what symptoms are kind of presenting themselves that you have to
Yeah.
pay attention to and kind of build a process and a some organization around. So I get it. Yeah,
Yeah. For sure.
totally.
And yeah, it's being comfortable with saying no.
Mm,
Like the other thing too is like when I started my weight loss journey, which I'm kind of down like 30 pounds
good for
from,
you.
I mean, it's taken a while, but that's okay.
Yeah,
Time's going to pass anyway. Like,
yeah,
let's just let it, do the things you want to do. Well,
yeah,
I was like, well, shoot, when am I going to actually like plan, you
totally.
know? And it's like putting that in your schedule.
Has to be
Like
really intentional.
what? Yeah.
So what's your meal planning flow? Because like I said, I go in and out of it, and right now I'm not really
Mhm.
in it. When my husband was traveling for work, we were like
Yeah.
really on top of it because we had to be. What's your flow? Because I love getting inspired by people's and restarting with new inspiration.
Well, since you're a planner girl,
Yeah.
Instagram was real targeting me to this Laurel Denise planner. Well,
Okay.
they introduced me to these sticky notes,
Okay.
and I just ordered one for like our academic like homeschooling, but I put the week and I
I
have
found it.
written
Cool.
all of the dinners that we have on a sticky note. And then I'm
Okay.
like, oh, Monday, it's this. Tuesday, it's
Are
this.
you a grocery shopping person or an Instacart kind of gal?
I grocery shop and I pick it up
Okay.
because we're like 30 minutes from a store. I don't know how
Okay.
far away you are from a store,
No,
but
I have stores. I'm in like a village of 1,200 people, and I'm in a
perfect.
neighborhood. I'm in like a
Yeah.
true like suburban kind of style neighborhood, a newer
Okay.
neighborhood. But there's cornfields all around me, and but
Nice.
Bloomington Normal is like 10 minutes away from me, so there's
Okay.
grocery stores and stuff.
Yeah.
We do have Instacart, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
Now, if I'm
nice.
in a pinch, one store at Walmart will deliver to
Yeah,
me, which I'm like, oh,
have to use
I'm
it
like, oh,
sometimes.
you gotta tip them, but I'm like, hey, time or money,
Totally. Mm-hmm.
time or money. You're gonna
Yeah,
spend time or money. And when did Britt teach that? Like
yeah,
2019 or 20?
totally.
And it's like finally like clicked, like
Yeah.
you're gonna spend time or money. And
Yeah.
at this point in
And in
time,
different seasons of time, sometimes you have more money and sometimes you have more
yeah,
time. And sometimes
exactly.
those priorities become more important depending on the season that you're in. So are you Sunday is meal prep day? And are you prepping the entire meal? Are you like halfway
No,
prepping it and then finishing it? What are you doing?
I'm an ingredient prepper.
Okay.
And I've been experimenting with like going every 2 weeks
Okay.
because
I cannot.
I
Wow.
just, I, so I like to spend some time like, okay, what's in my fridge?
Mm-hmm.
What, you know, I will literally take the bag of slaw out. I'll divide it
Mm-hmm.
into containers. I've actually been like kind of a Sam's Club gal here lately.
Okay.
Like, I'm going to get
Buying
involved
in
because
bulk.
my boys will devour anything I
My
buy.
kids are at the age where right the other day they're like, make sure you get us mini tacos from the grocery store. They ate them in one day, a whole box of
Yeah.
mini tacos. It's like, okay, well, I guess I'll get 4 boxes of mini tacos
Oh,
because
yeah.
they eat so much right now.
So I tend to break things down and kind of so they can be grab and go. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like at least it's like instead of a giant tub of, Greek yogurt, I'll put it
Yeah,
in like smaller containers so then I can
love.
grab it.
Yeah,
Because if you have 10 minutes to eat, like it needs to be
totally. If it's already got the granola and the berries and the honey in it, you're like, let me just
boom.
grab it, versus
Yeah.
pulling out the big tub, I mean, it sounds so ridiculous when you say it out loud, but that's the truth. That's human behavior. When it's perfect and ready for you and you know it's
Yep.
fresh and you know if you don't eat it this week, it will go bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Cool.
Yeah, but I don't let more than 2 weeks go by without like a good meal prep.
Okay.
Like sometimes it's like, again, like I'm living in the gray. I'm learning how to
Were
embrace
you the one that
imperfection.
recommended to me the Cook Once, Eat All Week? Or no?
I don't know,
Okay, it's a
maybe.
cookbook that I did years ago,
Yeah.
and someone recommended it to me. I didn't know if that was you or not. That was if you never tried that book, it is kind of like that. You'll get like a protein, starch, and a
Yes.
veg, but you can make like way different meals out of it, and they're like very different flavor profiles. And I did the whole 52-week book. I went through it back in the day when I was
Ooh,
doing that. Yeah, you would like it. It sounds
I
like
probably
it's
would
up your alley.
because, just like having protein ready.
It's
I
called
might
Cook
not know what
Once,
I'm going
Eat
to do with
All
that
Week.
chicken, but it's
Yeah,
like, oh, I got chicken. I can do, quesadillas. I love to cook.
yeah,
And so it sounds so gross to say it out loud, but to be able to combine hair and cooking,
yeah,
it's fun because hairdressers have to eat, but to
totally.
be able to talk about cooking and
Yeah.
anyway.
Well, if you
It's,
ever want to
it's,
put out like a meal prep guide, I'm going to be the first
well,
one
I
to
have
be
this
ready for
like
that.
protein pack salon days. It's on
Okay.
I want to have that done by like the end of soon because I
Maybe
think,
if you have it by the time this podcast goes live, we can put it in the show
you know
notes.
what? That's a good
A
idea.
deadline never hurts.
Sure does it.
Okay. So if it's ready, it'll be in the show notes. We'll see.
Perfect.
Love that. Okay, so we talked about health, we talked a little bit about mental health. How to deal with clients. What were you thinking when you wrote that?
Hmm.
What is that
What
kind of
was I
energy
thinking when I
exchange
wrote
and
that?
what
How to deal with clients.
obviously I think that kind of plays part into sometimes the mental health, and you were talking about you word vomiting onto clients, but I think a lot of the times clients word vomit onto us. We've already kind of talked about boundaries and saying no, so I didn't know if there's anything specific that came to mind with that, but I feel like that's something we could talk at
I
days
know that
for.
was something. I mean, like cl clients are going to ask questions or
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, I think that it took a couple years for me to say, finally rebuttal with, oh, do you have anything available on this day?
Mm,
And I would finally just say, no, I'm all booked.
yeah,
Now, they don't need to know like you're all booked with going to the grocery store and running wherever you need to run to. You
yeah,
just say, oh, I'm not available that day.
yeah,
And I find that once you start like kind of saying, oh, I'm not here, like they kind of get the picture.
totally.
Um, because I just, where was I going with that? Like,
No, I mean, I'm going to kind of stem off of that because I very
yeah.
much agree. I'm coaching somebody right now in Jumpstart, and she's just 1 year into being licensed. She's a nail
Oh,
tech. She
nice.
does nails and hair, but she is so booked and busy. When
Okay.
I started coaching with her, she was like 6 days a week, 12-hour days. And I'm like, girl, this is not sustainable. Like, I know you have the energy of a 20-year-old right now, but you told me your goal is 5 years from now, you want to be married with kids. Like, I need you to find a schedule that isn't every waking moment of every single
Yeah.
day. And so she's been working on scaling her schedule back, and she also earned a price increase because typically those things go hand in hand. So she rolled out her price increase, and she was like, okay, and then when it comes to like my schedule, how do I word that? What do I say? I'm like, oh, we don't announce a schedule change publicly. There's no need to do that. There's
Mhm.
no need to ruffle feathers. That's not something I would never coach to publicly, loudly doing a schedule change. I'm the same as you. When you go to pre-book your clients, you just say, I have this day, this day, this day
Yeah.
available. And if they say, okay, what about specifically Friday at 4 p.m.? You'd say, oh, actually, on Fridays moving forward, I get off at 3, but 4 p.m. I do have Tuesday. And
Yeah.
you only talk about it with the people that need to hear it,
Yeah.
because enforcing boundaries is so energetically heavy. And I feel like the industry as a whole has gone, like the pendulum has swung from
Yeah.
like zero boundaries, zero anything, to like some entitlement, announcement after announcement, policy after policy. And
Yeah.
I think it's finding kind of that sweet spot. So I very much agree with what you just said
Yeah.
about clients and eventually having to just say like, no, I don't have
Yeah.
that availability. Because there are a lot of times that you guys will be standing there and the desk will be in front of you, and you'll have your online booking pulled up, and they'll be standing there with their calendar pulled up on their phone. And I always tell people, like, say what you have and literally shut your mouth. And it's so hard to do because you're like, oh, but let me make this work, and let me blah, blah, blah. And then before you know it, you've opened up
Yeah.
a spot that you don't have available. And if you just tell them when you have and close
Yeah.
your mouth and practice that, and it is a literal skill that you have, a muscle you have to train, that you have to work, but once it starts to kind of work, man, it feels good when you get
Yeah.
there.
Well, and that's like your whole like prefrontal, like not your critter brain
Yeah.
is like, this is dangerous. they're going to leave me
Yeah.
if I don't do XYZ.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but then when you learn how to zip it, it's like, oh, you're making a neural pathway there that's like, it's okay.
Yeah.
Safety, safety.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
okay.
It's one of my favorite
Um,
things to tell people, say something and then close your mouth. Because a
yeah.
lot of the times they'll be like, that time works for me. But you know, they're a teacher, so they don't get off till 3, so it wouldn't work for them. But you know, they take off for their dentist appointment. They do, you know, whatever. So
Oh, yeah.
it's
And
such a
like,
skill.
it's a good skill. And so when you say you don't like to publicly announce, like you're not putting anything on your Instagram, you're not putting,
I don't publicly announce price increases. I do announce price increases to clients only. I don't do that front facing to potential clients. And then, yeah, I don't even think I would like send a mass email about a schedule
yeah,
change. I
yeah,
mean, unless it's like drastically different, I would just address it with each person as you pre-book them. And chances
yeah,
are only maybe 30% of your clients are even going to need to have that conversation because you're not changing your schedule that much. So it's not
hmm,
affecting everyone.
yeah,
So yeah, I just feel like from a client and like a consumer perspective, I like to be mindful about how much noise. I don't take an announcement lightly, and I want people to
yeah,
hear what I'm saying and to hear my voice. I'm even like this in Soul Tribe. Like, I'm very careful what goes in an email, what gets announced, because it just becomes so much. And now there's a cancellation policy, and now you have to pay to deposit it. Now my schedule's changing, and now my price is going up. And like, I don't think that's a great consumer experience, in my opinion.
I know. I don't do a cancellation policy
Should we
because,
talk about cancellation policies?
we can, but I like, right now my energy and focus is like in growing my awareness on social media as a coach and helping
Mm-hmm.
hairdressers deal with their life. But like for if I'm in like if there's a schedule change in the hair salon and someone's like, oh, I can't make it, be like, great.
Yeah. You're
That's
at a time
that's
where you're
like
really valuing right
other
now.
space,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I'm okay with it
Yeah.
because, but I can see where cancellations policies,
Yeah.
and you know what? Let's talk about how to enforce one
Okay.
because, or whatever,
Yeah.
insert, because like, I think that that's where that critter brain really can like throw people for a loop.
Yeah.
Like, ooh,
Yeah. So personally, I'm the same as you. Thankfully, I'm in a position where majority of my income does not come from behind the chair. So like, yeah, if my clients cancel, I'm like, great, I could use that time. Thank you. Whatever. I can't tell you the last time I enforced one. However, when my main income was from growing my business behind the chair, and when I was highly in demand and those spots were highly coveted and someone no-showed on a 4-hour highlight, that is a big deal to me.
yeah,
And I do feel like the industry as a whole and different educators, the opinions have changed so much. First, it was like strong policy, whatever. And then it was like ditch all policies. And then I've even heard people say, like, I have a policy, but I never enforce it. And that to me is like telling your kids, if you do that again, you're going to get grounded. Do that again, I'm going to take your phone. And then never doing it. That's weird
yeah,
to me.
yeah,
So my take on policies today, which honestly, it hasn't changed. So we'll see if it changes in the future. Don't hold me to anything, anybody. But yeah, my take on policies is I think 24 to 48 hours, whatever feels appropriate to the service provider is fine. And then I do first time warning always, just like, hey, in
yeah,
case you didn't know, I wanted to let you know. It's no big deal. Life happens. And then after that, I do 50%. And I don't put cards on file. I'm not in the business of like taking money from people or chasing people for money. I just send them an invoice and I think of my policy as a filter. And it will filter
perfect.
a lot of people out of your business. You will send them the
Yeah,
invoice. They will never pay it. That's okay. They just can never get in your business again. But there's
love
so
that.
many people who will pay it, and then it doesn't have to be this thing where you're mad at your clients when they cancel.
Yeah,
It's nothing personal. Like my client Nicole, probably the last like few appointments, and again, she's busy and I love her. She messaged me the other day, Lisa, I'm so sorry, I didn't realize I double booked Charlotte's speech therapy at the same time as my appointment. I'm not going to make it today. Send me the invoice. I'm happy to pay. That's the relationship I have with my clients now, where they're
yeah,
in. Honestly, if she was my first client of the day or if it was a couple days before, I wouldn't have, but she was the middle of my day. I was already doing somebody before her, after her,
yeah,
paying for booth rent for that day, so I did charge her and she was happy to pay it. So that's
perfect.
my take on policies.
That is such a good, like, that's like the season of life I'm in. That's such a good, like, instead of black and white, I'm
Mm-hmm.
living in this, like, my coach and I talk a lot about the gray. And like,
Yeah.
that is like, here it is. You got a warning. And
Yeah.
then you send them an invoice and it's just like, there you go.
Yeah.
I think that
And
that's
then let me say this.
lovely.
If it's a favorite client of mine and they're like, I spiked a fever in the middle of the night, I'm throwing up, I have diarrhea, I'm not charging them for that because please
Yeah.
keep your germs away. However, if it's a shitty client who has like taken up time on my books and moved their appointment 10,000 times and is chronically canceling and no-showing, then I have it written in black and white and I can send the policy. So I
Yeah.
kind of do it by like what feels good to you. I know you're not supposed to play favorites, but I kind of do. I always say like yes, no, maybe list of clients. So the hell yeses, they get more leeway because they make our life great. And the people who are a little bit more difficult, I'm a little bit more strict on, you know?
Yeah.
That's how I
think
do
that
it.
that's, I mean, that's human. That's,
Yeah.
like, that's what it is. I'm here
But
for
I
that.
think it's really important. I think a lot of people get really emotional about cancellations, and I think that's the biggest thing. It's business. It shouldn't personally bother you that they did this. Use that as a filter. If they're cool with doing that, then it doesn't have to be weird of like, oh, I paid the invoice, but are you mad at me? Is our next appointment going to be weird? That I don't think should happen.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
don't
no,
think
hey,
client bashing on Instagram about a no-show or a cancellation is a good idea at all.
I think that's totally fair and such a good approach,
Yeah, that's
super
my
helpful.
take.
I'm here for it.
I know you said in this season you don't really worry about it. It's fine for you. But do you agree that like when you were building,
Oh,
I
yeah.
feel like it is hard to build and not have that. And especially when
Yeah.
you're taking on a mass amount of new clients,
Yeah.
there are some like sketch, people that you
Well,
want to filter out.
like when I moved my salon home,
Mm-hmm.
I remember getting a request from someone and I was like, I don't know who this is.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I I'm like, I don't know if I want a person that I don't really know or like a
I've heard people
that
who
I
have
don't
home
know.
salons say that. Yeah.
They're like, I don't know if it's like this, I don't know why is that any different than like being in another place by
Because it's
yourself?
where you
But
sleep
like,
at night. I get it. It's where your
yeah,
kids are. Yeah. No, I totally get that. But do you think it's fair to say you probably couldn't have gone into a home salon until you established a
yeah,
clientele? Like it would have been hard to build, I
yeah,
think, in
it
a
would
home
have been.
salon.
And I mean, like,
Unless you're more comfortable with that. But it is, I get that kind of
mhm,
feeling.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and especially because I have like feral children like running
Yeah.
around, like,
You have a beautiful space, though. I would never be able to tell. I mean, you guys have made a really beautiful
yeah,
space
it's
that you
nice.
have behind you. That's awesome.
My
Cool.
little shed.
So the Energized Hairdresser Podcast, I will link that in the show notes. We'll do an episode, me and you over there. How else, if people are curious, if something you've said today kind of sparks
Yeah.
their interest, how can they get in touch with you? What kind of offers do you have coming down the pipeline?
So
What's going on?
love that. I am really, but I've kind of stumbled into school,
Yep.
SKOOL. I don't know if you've heard of school.
Yep.
And I put one of my courses on there and I kind of love it,
Cool.
this schoolroom. So they can come find me there. It's the same like the Energized Hairdresser. I got some big plans for the schoolroom coming up.
What are they? Give us a
I mean,
tease.
eventually I'm going to turn it into a paid community because
Okay.
I want to be able to
So right
just
now it's
like,
free.
it's totally
Okay,
free,
I'll link it in the show
and I've
notes.
been like,
Everybody can check it out. Cool.
yeah, kind of, we talk a lot about the pillars, like the hair, the home, the health of just like,
Love.
each week I'm like, oh, here's some meal ideas. Here is, if you have any specific questions around like, oh, how do I start working out? How do we do this with a busy schedule? And then people can like ask and engage and, just it's a good space. And
I
then,
love that.
I mean, I do work with people one-on-one just because sometimes you just want someone to hold your hand and figure it
Totally.
out,
Yep.
So,
Cool.
but yeah, I'm pretty active on the Instagram.
All
It's
right,
been
well, we'll
fun.
put all of your links down in the show notes. Instagram, school. You can DM Ashley on Instagram
Yeah.
if you want to learn more. Thank you so much for coming on. This was a fun
My
conversation. It
pleasure.
was nice to catch up and kind of hear
Yes.
what you've had going on. I've obviously like caught bits and pieces of what you've publicly shared on Instagram, but it's nice to share
Yeah,
behind the scenes. So thanks for being so
it is.
vulnerable and opening up.
It's my middle name. I'm here for it.
Amazing. All right.
Great.
Well, like I said, everything will be linked in the show notes if you guys want to stay in touch with Ashley. And thank you so much again, Ash, for coming on. And thank you, everybody, for listening. I will talk to you all on the next episode. Bye.
Sounds great. Bye.